Welcome you all to the third lecture of the 8th week related to the course History of Arabic Literature. The diaspora literature is spread over different continents, practically the North American, South American, European and Australian continents are the topic of our subject of our deliberation in these lectures. So we have seen the emergence of the diaspora literature alongside the historical background, the thematic diversifications, adaptations to the new experimentations, new issues, emerging issues in estranged milieu, the spaces of geography, new spaces of geography, the geographical escapes, of course. So these things were topics of our consideration in the past lectures. As of now, we'll be focusing on the specific names and their contributions who had contributed tremendously to this domain in North as well as South Americas, in Europe as well as Australia. The foremost name that comes to our mind when we talk about diaspora literature is Gibran Khalil Gibran, the legendary representative of Mahajar literature in all its aspects related to reform, both thematic reform and reforms related to the structure of language and literary discourse. Gibran Khalil Gibran, also Gibran Khalil Gibran, it has been pronounced in both ways, alongside this Khalil in some cases, especially in Arabic, in English, has been written as Kahlil, Gibran, Kahlil, Gibran. So Khalil and Kahlil. Gibran Khalil Gibran himself used, preferred Kahlil in English to describe himself. He was born on 6 January 1883 and died on 10th April 1931. The foremost poet, man of letters, philosopher, who had dealt with the spiritual themes of a universal spirituality, spiritualism. He was a painter, an artist, painter, abstract painting, of course, sometimes abstract painting, preferably. Because of belonging to the Ottoman era, when Lebanon, Levant, the Arabian Peninsula alongside Levant and Egypt, and they belonged to the Ottoman, they were part of the Ottoman Empire. So in historical perspectives, he's known as Uthmani, that is Ottoman. Here Ottoman, actually, it doesn't, the meaning doesn't exceed simple that affiliation to the Roman, Ottoman Empire, the geographic expansion of Ottoman Empire, alongside the most prolific, among the prolific writers belonging to the Mahajar domain. Well, this celebrated writer, poet, he has given us not a significant number of poems, or rather a few poems he has left, he has given us. If a poetry is considered in line with or defined in line with the traditional rhyming patterns, traditional scansion system, if this is it, then his legacy of poetry is not much. But if poetry is seen in modern perspective, in the perspectives of reverse, where the poetic refinement, poetic message, poetic substance, the aesthetics of poetry, essence of poetry is seen to be deep rooted beyond verbal or structural parameters or well-defined parameters, then each and everything he has written is a fine example of poetry. So even if it is prose, by definition, it is poetry by nature. Was a philosopher belonging to the universalist generation of philosophers, among the foremost voices of spiritualist affiliation in modern times. So he's given us a large number of books, like Al-Majnoon. It was the first thing written by him in 1900 AD in English. Al-Mawaqib again. عرايس المروج، الأرواح المتمردة، الأجنحة المتكسرة، دمعة ابتسامة. الأرواح المتمردة، الأجنحة المتكسرة، دمعة وابتسامة are the foremost very celebrated pieces of literary craftsmanship created by Gibran. العواصف، البداية والطرائف، آلهة الأرض، الشعلة الزرقاء، بلاغة العرب. Alongside his رسائل أرباب الأرض، رسائل جبران، مختارات من رسائل جبران، عيسى بن إنسان، العزار وحبيبته، العواطف، الشعلة الزرقاء، روايع جبران، التايه، مناجاة أرواح، آلهة الأرض والسابق، عرايس المروج. We have seen that alongside Al-Malfat al-Kamila, as we find as per the modern trends of collecting or producing the collected works of a person, a scholar or a man of letters, the collected works of where everything written by him is printed, is collected in a series of volumes. So alongside his An-Nabi, with the translations. Significantly, Ramal wa Zabad, it was originally written in English, but the translation appeared in 1926. It was written in English in 1926, and translation appeared the same year. Likewise, Alihatul Ard, Al-Ard, it was written originally in English in 1931, where the translation, Arabic translation, appeared in 1932. As-Sabiq also in English in 1920, and the translation appearing in 1920. So, for the foremost in the domain of the English versions, as we have, just to have a glimpse of the, so prose poems in 1934, Secrets of the Heart, 1947, Treasury of Khalil Gibran, 1951, A Self-Portrait, 1959, Thoughts and Meditations, 1960, A Second Treasury of Khalil Gibran, 1962, Spiritual Sayings, 1962, Voice of the Master, 1963, Mirrors of the Soul, 1965, Between Night and Morn, 1972, The Third Treasury of Khalil Gibran, 1975, The Storm, 1994, The Beloved, 1994, The Vision, 1994, Eyes of the Prophet, 1997, The Treasured Writings of Khalil Gibran, 1995. So these are the compendiums, the books which are available in English. So as it has been pointed out, he represents the human consciousness. He's among the very strong, well heard, well appreciated, well acclaimed figures, voices in modern times, celebrating the human essence, the essence of human being, the spiritual essence of a human being, sometimes cutting across the differences in religions, different religious and philosophical denominations. So here where we are human, we are man as a human entity is seated in the empyrean of philosophical considerations, and spiritual appreciation. So this actually rededicates oneself to addressing the humanness of or the universal aspect of human existence, human civilization and culture, which that stands central to all the human civilizations, all the past cultures, the spiritual cultures, the philosophical cultures of the past, past phases of human culture in human history. The second very significant name is that of Amin Raihani. Amin Raihani, Amin Faris Antoine Yusuf ibn Matran Basil Al-Raihani. He was born in 1876 and he died in 1940. He's a celebrated thinker, a man of letters, novelist, historian, traveler, a painter, caricaturist from Lebanon. He is among the foremost scholars of foremost men of letters. Amid the men of letters, the poets, the philosophers belonging to the reformative domain, the reformers, the generation of the reformers, the social reformers, and intellectuals of a high rank, celebrated intellectuals. In the last days of the 13th, that is the 19th century, and the beginning of the early days of the 20th century, belonging to the Arab world. So he's also known as the Falsuf al-Farika. Their Farika is the name of the region, of the place he is associated with, his birthplace, Farika. Amin Raihani in 1921. It was a portrait made by William Oberhardt, this one. And this portrait, this image will be finding in some of his books, the printed books, that is Ar-Rayhaniyat, this one. So, as in a different, as regards different phases of his life, in 1898 he came back to New York and started from 1902 writing and producing the books. So writing and producing the books, it started from 1902. We have a large number of contributions. Has substantially contributed to the domain of Arabic literary discourse, literature, criticism, and addressal of the social issues in Arabic language related to his time. So the first book he has written, it was نبذة عن الثورة الفرنسية in the year 1902, followed by كتاب المحالفة الثلاثية في المملكة الحيوانية in the year 1903 again. قلم يفك الرصد أو عمر فاخوري سيرته وأدبه. كتاب المكاري والكاهن in 1904. كتاب ديوان المر واللبان in English in 1905. So his contributions are in Arabic alongside some contributions in English. This Diwan al-Murra wal-Laban in English, it was written in 1905. لمعة مشرقية, again a collection of poems. قراءات على وجهها والرحيل. الأتراك يرحلون, these books. الريحانيات in 2 volumes in 1910. الريحانيات, here we have this الريحانيات, which image of الريحانيات, this volume. ابن سعود شعبه وبلاده. صلح صغير بين الملك عبد العزيز وابن الرشيد، لا نصر ولا انكسار. نعم. الملك علي يرحل، جالت الرؤيا. It's a collection of critical essays concerning East and West, the discourse related to East and West. الحرب في الخرج، هادمة العهود ومفرقة الوفود. الحرب العالمية الأولى، it's related to the First World War. فتوى علماء نجد في التعصب بعد الإخوان. كتاب خالد, again this one in English, كتاب خالد بالإنجليزية in 1911. It's a novel. ذروة المجد والخطر، الحجاز اليمن عسير. So this is another book. في حقيقة الديمقراطية الأمريكية. It's a book related to the his study of his understanding of his critique of the American democracy. كتاب رواية زنبقة الغور in 1915. خارج الحريم 1917. كسرة أبا الخيل، مصير فلسطين. كتاب التحضر البلشفية. It's about the Bolshevik revolution and the aftermath. كتاب أنشودة المتصوفين, the song of the, or the hymn of the Sufis, of the spiritual masters. It's an anthology that was completed in 1921. كتاب حول الشواطئ العربية والقمم العربية والصحراء in 1930. كتاب أنتم الشعراء، You are the Poets in 1931. كتاب فيصل الأول 1934. الإنجليز والعرب، كتاب قلب العراق 1935. كتاب المغرب الأقصى 1939. كتاب قلب لبنان 1940. كتاب هتاف الأودية، كتاب القوميات الشريف حسين. كتاب أدب وفن. And so many other books written by him. So he was a very celebrated writer. Amin al-Rayhani. The third is a very prominent name is Mikhail Nuaima. Mikhail, sometimes called Mikhail Naimi. It is the standard version is Mikhail Nuaima. Was born in 1889 and he died in the year 1988. A man of letters, a philosopher, a thinker, celebrated critic, chiefly celebrated critic. He's among the foremost reformers related to Arab reform in the in the sphere of literature and thought. He's credited with over 30 books and titles like Al-Ghirbal. It appeared from New York in 1923. It's the foremost book related to the literary criticism. So one of the very significant books which have been written in modern times, and that exercised much influence on crystallizing the critical concept of literary criticism, and the basis and the thematic and structural bases which are associated with primarily associated with the critical discourse. So Al-Ghirbal, it appeared from New York in 1933. Gibran Khalil Gibran Hayatuhu Mawtuhu Adabuhu Fannuhu, it appeared in 1934. Zadul Ma'ad, it's a collection of essays in 1936. Al-Bayadr, collection of essays 1945. Al-Awthan, collection of essays 1946. Karamun ala Darb, it's scattered, it's compilation of it's a collection of the aphorisms. We can simply say aphorism. What is aphorism? The small sentences, very small sentences or paragraphs, chiefly comprised of the wisdom theme. The theme is wisdom. So the sayings, wise sayings. So مجموعة شذرات وحكم. صوت العالم, collection of essays 1948. An-Nur wa Dajur, collection of articles of essays 1950. So he was أحاديث مع الصحافة من وحي المسيح. His Hamasul Jufuns, it was the Spanish translation, appeared in 1957. So في الغربال الجديد, نجوى الغروب, المراحل, etc. So in this sequence we'll be finding that among the reformers, the literary reformers, the poets and the critics, celebrated critics, Mikhail Nu'ayma holds very significant position. Regarding the characteristics of Mikhail Nu'ayma as a literary critic, we must be aware of the fact that he was in his literary discourse, an analysis of society and the literary discourse based on this, we find him a socialist in nature. So here the Russian thoughts of socialism and the social characteristics, the socialist projections, mold of the domain of the literary domain, it is something clearly noticeable in his Al-Ghirbal as well as other books. So he represents that aspects. So in this sequence, we'll be finding that he is very much close. He's one of the flag bearers of social realism in the field of literature. Among the poets, we have Rashid Ayyub, very celebrated poet. He's Al-Ayyubiyat, Aghani Darwish, and Hiyat Dunya. Al-Ayyubiyat appeared in 1916. Aghani Darwish appeared in 1928, where Hiyat Dunya appeared in 1939 from Brooklyn, and Aghani Darwish again, Al-Matba Surya Al-Ameriki, the American Syrian press. Ilya Abu Madi, another very significant name in the domain of, in the field of poetry. This is a picture. Ilya Abu Madi, a very celebrated poet, of course. belonging to this. Shukrullah Al-Jar, who died in the year 1975. He was a prolific writer. جزر الخطيئة, ديفا وعبد الله, خطوط القدر, نبي أورفليس, الروافد, زنابق الفجر, أغاني الليل, بروق ورعود, من خواب الزمن, ظلال وأشباح, among other compendiums, among other books, was written by Shukrullah Al-Jar. Shafiq Isa Al-Ma'luf was a prominent poet belonging to the southern segment of southern part of Mahajari literature. That is the Mahajari literature emerging in being developed in South America. Al-Usba Al-Andalusiya. إيليا أبو ماضي, تذكار الماضي, إيليا أبو ماضي, الجدابل, الخمائل, تبر وتراب, and many قصائد, قصيدة المساء, قصيدة فلسفة الحياة, الغابة المفقودة, ابتسم, etc. So in these personalities, very prominent personalities, we find that the literary legacy left by the the men of letters, by the poets associated with the Pen League, Rabtat al-Qalamiyya, as well as Al-Usba Al-Andalusiya, who constitute, of course, a significant number. They are a significant number of the men of letters. So here we have outlined, we have noted some of the very prominent figures of this generation. This actually brings to the fore the value, the significance of the literary discourse, poetry and prose, and literary criticism that has been contributed by the foremost men of letters, poets and critics belonging to these two sections of these two groups of the reformers, based on the American soil, the northern as well as the southern American soil. So with this, we are concluding this lecture. Thank you.